Why do people take risks? For most people, there is a careful balance between the risk and its outcome. However, for some people, that balance is different. For example, the stereotypical view that teenagers take more risks than adults is in fact true. Humans really do have a tendency to try new and risky behaviors at this time. A study by the National Center for Health Statistics found that around 70% of teenage deaths in the United States were due to risk-related causes, such as motor vehicle crashes and accidental injuries. Neuroscience, the study of the brain, teaches us that teenagers' brains are still developing. Although the human brain has reached 90% of its adult size by the age of 6, the inside of the brain continues to develop. It seems that some of these developments may explain risky behavior. For example, when we do something exciting, our brains release a chemical called dopamine. This is the chemical that makes you feel happy after a good meal, or when your favorite sports team wins. Several studies have found that teenagers get more dopamine when they are involved in an exciting activity, such as playing a video game. It is easy to see how this might cause an increase in risky behavior like driving fast. It literally feels better when you are young. For some, this positive chemical outcome far outweighs any sense of risk or responsibility. Neuroscience also suggests that some teenagers do not learn from their mistakes. One study used a simple video game involving balloons. 58 teenagers, aged 13 to 17, took part. On their screen, each player saw a balloon, which got bigger as they pressed a key on the keyboard. As the balloon got bigger, the player received points. But if the balloon got too big, it exploded, and all the points were lost. The players could store their points at any time and start again with a new balloon. They had 24 balloons in total. The scientists wanted to know if the teenagers would learn from their mistakes. For example, would they press the key fewer times after the balloon exploded? Or would they continue to risk all of their points? The answer is that most players did change their behavior. However, some of the players continued to aim for a high number of points, even if their balloons exploded. Most interestingly, teenagers who didn't change had a similar pattern of activity in their brains. They showed less activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that controls how we make decisions. So our brains affect the amount of risk we take. But is this the whole story? Of course not. For example, there are plenty of social reasons why teenagers take more risks than adults. Perhaps adults can see the value of storing the points in the balloon study, because it is similar to the value of storing food or money for a long-term goal. But a teenager values other things more highly. For example, the opinion of their friends. In another computer game study, young teenagers, older teenagers, and adults were all given a simple driving game to play. When they played it alone, all the groups showed very similar behavior. But the results were very different when the game was played with two friends in the room. The younger teenagers were much more likely to take driving risks in the game when their friends were watching. The older teenagers also took more risks, although the results were less strong. The adults did not change their behavior when their friends were in the room. So what can we learn from this in terms of keeping our teenagers safe? Perhaps adults can educate risk-taking teens to think carefully about their past behavior before they act. Another approach is to allow some risk-taking activity in a carefully controlled environment. Supervised climbing is a good example of a risk-controlled hobby which allows young people to test their bodies while staying safe. Finally, parents may want to provide family rules for some friendship activities, in particular, the number of teenagers in a car when a young person is driving.